Robbie, Maurice and the Doctor on Triple J.
Breakfast? Come and get it with Peter Russell-Clarke.
That's right, we're joined once again by Australia's favourite celebrity chef, Peter Russell-Clarke. How are you, Peter?
G'day, Marique. I'm particularly well for a young fellow.
Oh, that's good. How is your young fellow?
My young fellow's pretty good, though it goes blue in the cold.
And what are you going to be speaking to us about this morning?
Well, I thought macadamia nuts. A lot of us forget that they're actually an Australian native. They're named after a fellow called Macadam, who is the same chap who invented that black stuff that we put on the roads. Really? That's why they're called macadamia nuts.
So he got a nut named after him?
Yes, pretty. Well, he's a Queenslander, you can sort of understand it.
Do you think you'd be flattered by the invention of a PRC nut?
I certainly would be. Nothing's been named after me.
It seems ridiculous. You've been involved in food for so long.
It's un-Australian.
I think it is too. You'd think you'd have the rack of lamb Russell-Clarke.
Exactly. You haven't even got like a burger named after you in some cafe in some regional
Brussels
town.
sprouts are just lending themselves to the name.
I know. I used to be called Peter Russell Sprout.
I think my mum used to call you that too.
Yeah, Peanuts Russell. Oh, anyway.
Macadamia nuts make a good pesto too, don't they?
They very do. Look, because they've got a lot of oil in them, and the oil is the good oil, polyunsaturated, they make a very good butter. So if you put the nuts, without the hard shell of course, into a mortar and pestle, or into the pestle and bang them with the mortar, and or put them in a vitamizer, they'll cream up and make a marvellous butter, and it's far better than actually using margarine, which gives you boils anyway, or animal fat butter. So just either use hummus on your toast in the morning, or else grind up macadamia nuts.
So it's a different kind of peanut butter in a way.
It is indeed.
Macadamia
and
nuts.
If we have time, I'll give you a recipe how to cook them inside a pumpkin.
Well, oh my goodness. Well, let's go and listen to a couple of songs, and when we come back, Peter
mind you, I wouldn't do it. It's bullshit, but it sounds good on the radio.
Here we go.
Story of our lives, Peter Russell-Clarke.
Breakfast? Come and get it with Peter Russell-Clarke.
He's still with us. He's talking about nuts.
Macadamia nuts, no less. They're also called the Australian bush nut, the Queensland nut, and I can't think of any other names, but we can make some up because no one will bloody know.
Are they your
anyway.
favourite nut, the macadamia?
Yes, they are actually. They are. I think they really are a very, very good nut. I like them.
And if you live around the places that macadamia nuts are grown, the price drops significantly, and they can actually become an everyday nut.
Well, they are
as opposed to a
expensive.
special occasion nut.
Yes, they can be very expensive, especially if you buy them at the airports.
Exactly. But if you get your macadamia nuts and you bang them about a bit, so you crush them, then if you have an old lamb chop or a piece of steak, you can push those crushed nuts into the surface of the steak, then drop that onto a barbecue, and the nuts brown up as the steak cooks. It's a very good way of actually crusting a steak or a chop or whatever you've got.
A mushroom or a piece of tofu, perhaps?
Yes, well, I was thinking also, we were talking bananas earlier, you could do that with a banana. You could push the macadamia nut into the banana and then put the banana on a hot plate, and don't cook it so it gets all sloppy like yourself in the morning. It just starts to come al dente, if you're an Italian, and gobble that down.
That's
better
brilliant.
than putting chocolate on it.
Certainly.
And what you were talking about, a recipe for macadamia?
I'll do it very quickly because I'm sure we've bored the pants off people by now, or I have.
That's the best way to enjoy your macadamias, I think.
With your pants off.
Free.
Exactly, pants-free macadamias. Get a pumpkin and cut the top of it off, scoop out the seeds and plant those in your garden because they'll grow, and then fill the hollow of the pumpkin with crushed macadamia nuts, some cooked onion, you've diced and cooked onion, pop that in, a little bit of olive oil, and also some cream, and some sultanas if you like, some coriander, either fresh or ground coriander, and then put that in the oven and put the lid back on, put that in the oven and cook it for about an hour. then take it out. Oh, I forgot to tell you, you've also got to break an egg into it and mix that all together. Take it out of the oven, and the egg will have helped the ingredients to bind together, so when you cut the pumpkin, it doesn't slosh all over your flour and hence the floor.
So it's almost like an internal pumpkin frittata.
Exactly right.
Wow.
Yeah,
But except
right.
you haven't got as much egg as a frittata.
But it's eggy. Well, Peter Russell-Clarke,
Well,
thank
the
you.
egg is really only there to bind it. It doesn't give it a hell of
one
a lot
egg
of
to
flavour.
rule them all, one egg to bind them. I've seen the film. I know how it goes.
Now, Peter Russell-Clarke, it's all very well you speaking to us every couple of weeks, but next Monday, the 3rd of November, we are going to be broadcasting from the Northcote Social Club. It's the very first show of the Robbie Marek and the Doctors Reach Around Australia. And would you do us the great honour of being there with a live audience, helping us to reach around these people?
Most certainly. Is that next Monday?
Yeah, it is indeed, the 3rd of November.
Thank Christ you mentioned it. I thought it was Monday after.
Lucky we told
Guess
you.
who'd be the only one at the bloody Northcote.
Well, thanks, Peter Russell-Clarke. I think you did admirably well. We did a show about nuts, and I think the double entendre were kept to a minimum.
Shit, you speak bloody Italian as well.
Woman for all seasons. Thanks, Peter Russell-Clarke.
God bless you all
We'll see
and
you
your
at
listeners.
Northcote.
Thank you.
Hooroo.
Bye.
Robbie, Marek and the Doctor on Triple J.